James Mennie is on the line. Jim, thanks for being here this afternoon. Been kind of a strange day today, obviously. A lot of us spending time talking about Queen Elizabeth and mourning her passing. For people just tuning in now, perhaps it might be worth reminding them that we learned of her death earlier this afternoon. She was 96 years old. So you've been covering, politics for a long, long time. I'm sure you had a chance to cover the Queen. Can you share some memories with us?
Listen, I got to tell you, the reaction I'm seeing just in Quebec right now, in Quebec politics, is kind of weird. Remember, yesterday, Francois Legault was asked if he had any comment. At that point, her condition was considered serious. Do you have any comment? And he just said, no, I have nothing to say about that. Absolutely no comment whatsoever. And today, as Natasha informed us in the last half hour, he's put out a tweet expressing his condolences. He's put out he suspended his campaign for this afternoon. And it's interesting. The only, and perhaps not surprisingly, the only Quebec party leader who's basically, I got to be fair here, Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois, it's been radio silence. He hasn't mentioned anything about it. Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon of the PQ, I don't know if you guys have seen this. He retweeted Francois Legault's message of condolence, saying, "I too offer my condolences to the family. However, I'm opposed to the fact the Quebec nation is lowering its mast, lowering its flags to half-staff. Francois Legault should not treat the Queen of England as a Quebec head of state,
no, that is inappropriate.
Nor give credibility to a colonial British regime that is illegitimate in Quebec." So we can see that Monsieur Plamondon is taking the high road on this one. I don't know. The guy has just been scuppering around trying to grab whatever, pay-kiss votes that haven't gone into Francois Legault's hands. But it's kind of interesting because you have to wonder which version of Queen Elizabeth are our listeners remembering right now, because I think all of us have different ones. She was around for so long. You've got, for me, I literally grew up with her. She was on the wall of my elementary school classrooms. It would sing "God Save the Queen." And as you learned more about, it's a ceremonial position, it's a constitutional monarchy, and yet that tradition makes itself felt every day in this country. The crown is very much alive in the legal system, in our system of government. But I heard your last guess. It's true. There are a lot of people who are settling in Canada who have absolutely zero attachment to the British monarchy, absolutely no appreciation of its role in Canadian history, and it's not just in Quebec. And in fact, I would respectfully submit there are a lot of Quebecers who are sort of talking about this today, and not in the negative fashion that we saw M. Plamondon engage in. But there is no doubt that there is going to be, I think, a shift in public attitudes towards the monarchy right now. I mean, the news broke today. I would give it a week, and you'll probably hear within Canada voices being raised. It's time to cut the cord. We should be, we have nothing to do with the British crown. Blah 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 blah. I don't know if that's going to catch on, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I know personally, this was not unexpected, obviously. But I have to tell you, I felt a bit of a nudge when the news was finally confirmed, because for a lot of us, we can't remember a time when she wasn't queen, and when you get to that point in your life, you kind of figure, well, this is it; she's going to be queen forever, right? So when you get this news and you get this reality dawns, and you hear the words King Charles III, you kind of wonder whether your appreciation that you've enjoyed thus far for the monarchy will be maintained. It has become, it has gone from being this tradition, this part of government, this part of history, this part of culture, to being almost a popular, and I mean that in terms of populist institution. That are the English, are the British that attach to the monarchy, are Canadians. A lot of former dominions have cut the cord with the British monarchy. Most recently, Barbados, which when you visit Barbados, it's like you see it's their House of Commons is like our House of Commons. It's this kind of continuity. That, yes, it was colonialism, it was imperialism, but my God, it spread around the world and it's still there. You can call it a commonwealth now. And you really do have to ask yourself the question, though, what's next? Because if you follow the royal family, you follow their fortunes, you are hoping that perhaps your expectations of King Charles III will be pleasantly surprised. But I think there are a lot of people out there who, on the one hand, would have supported the institution, are more leery about engaging with it now that Charles is in charge.
Well, it's like you said, Jim. When you're on the throne for 70 years, and you're the only leader that in your lifetime that you've ever had. I mean, there's obviously going to be a bit of an issue when there's a transition. And Natasha pointed out the fact earlier on that here's the guy at 73 who's going to be the oldest king they've ever had when he's sworn in.
Yeah.
So, there's going to be a transition. I wonder, though, as we talk about this, I always, in my mind anyway, separate Queen Elizabeth from the monarchy. I don't know why, but it's kind of, she's that face, but she's not the monarchy. Do you know what I mean? She's always had that wonderful reputation. She is who she is. And the monarchy has had its share of scandals and problems, and she's always managed to sort of sidestep them.
Yeah, but she's also this figure, this iconic figure in this country. And I'm serious. I mean, I made reference to the official portrait that was in every elementary school classroom in Canada at one point. But, I mean, I don't want to see flip. She's on the money. It's like she's everywhere. She is the personification of the crown. Although I would also argue that if there's an appreciation of the monarchy in Canada today, I think Netflix had more to do with it than any kind of civics courses people were getting in school. I think if there's an appreciation of the British monarchy, which, whether people like it or not, is also the Queen Elizabeth was the Queen of Canada. Charles is the King now of Canada. That's what the system is. Yeah. And if people are willing to buy into that, to a certain extent, it is a fairy tale. But if you want to buy into it, I don't see the problem. But as I say, expect voices to be raised sooner rather than later.
By the way, I just tell you
how time to cut the cord.
How disappointing it is to, but then again, would you have expected any less from someone like Paul St. Pierre Plamondon on a day like this?
So nothing is better than saying something totally and completely inappropriate.
Yeah, but, I don't think it's just going to be the usual suspects. First of all, I mean, expect Monsieur Plamondon to get louder and louder as his moribund party approaches the cliff of oblivion. But I'm talking about people outside of Quebec, Canadians. I think there are a lot of Canadians who are the children of people who immigrated here or immigrants themselves. Like I say, they have no link with the British monarchy, with the traditions of the British monarchy, who are saying, and perhaps quite justifiably, why are we still doing this? I mean, Canada is not the same country it was, 20 years ago. It certainly wasn't the same country it was 100 years ago. We were once a Dominion. We tried to grow up. We called ourselves, Canada. We're not going to be called a Dominion. We're going to change the flag. And yet, it's still in our DNA. Of the traditions, our systems of government, our systems of politics are all go back inextricably to the crown. Whether it's Elizabeth and the one word I'm seeing most often today is constancy. She was this rock that world events seemed to swirl around. And it's true. I mean, in that regard, she almost became a global cultural icon. But are we in the same world now as we were even when, the Queen was recognized as the Queen? It's not often that the Beatles write a song about you. So, and yet here we are. Once again, it's going to be the most tumultuous time, I think, is going to be for the institution of the monarchy itself, whether it can survive so historic a personality. Yeah. As Elizabeth.
At the risk of sounding flippant, I mean, I have to just say I don't think at this moment is about that at all. I don't think it's about looking to what comes next. I think it's about the legacy of a truly remarkable woman, no matter how you felt about the monarchy. I think if you, whether you had great disdain for the monarchy, you can't help but admire a woman like Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, which should have been the reaction from world leaders everywhere today, but apparently here in Quebec it's not that important. It's certainly not if you're, someone like a Paul St. Pierre Plamondon who's going to make political points on the fact that she has died, which I think is a pretty terrible thing.
I just think there's lots of time.
It was a try. That fell flat. Okay, I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
this is not. This was about as cheap a shot.
Yeah,
as you could take.
absolutely. Which is kind of disappointing and depressing at the same time.
And you're right. There will be tons of questions, and the role going forward of the monarchy will be dissected. But I think,
Natasha, excuse me, I have to respectfully disagree in terms of looking back at the legacy. I'm not so old or young that I can't forget the maelstrom, even in this country, of criticism that the Queen took in the wake of Diana's death.
Yeah.
But she adjusted and she learned and she became beloved again.
That's the thing when you have job security.
True.
Ain't that the truth?
I'll
James
give you
Mennie,
that one.
the Montreal Gazette. Jim, thanks so much. Appreciate it.